Good evening, everyone. My name is Evangeline Rindone, and tonight we will be discussing the arrest of Suns player Dillon Brooks, Hunter Green's injury, and early coverage of the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Later, I will then be joined by Cameron Price and Kevin Scarborough for Anchor Point. To conclude the show, we have a very special interview with men's basketball player David Gabriel. Welcome to Hall Zone. Phoenix Suns forward Dillon Brooks was arrested Friday morning for suspicion of driving under the influence in Scottsdale, Arizona. A routine traffic stop was conducted by officers at roughly 1 a.m., which led to Brooks' arrest. He was taken to jail, booked, and then released around 3:30 a.m. Brooks has been out of the Suns lineup since February 21st due to a fractured left hand. He is expected to remain out until at least late March after surgery. Before this injury, Brooks was having a career-high season. Brooks joined the Suns this season as part of an off-season trade with the Houston Rockets and part of the Kevin Durant package. In 50 games played, Brooks has an average of 20.9 points per game, 30.6 minutes on the court, and rounding it out with 3.7 rebounds, most of those rebounds coming from the defensive side of the court. Brooks' arrest follows a heartbreaking loss to Chicago. The Suns played the Bulls just hours before, losing in a 105-103 game. The Suns managed to make the game 104-103 with 23 seconds remaining, only to give up a free throw on the foul line against Nick Richards of Chicago with 4.1 seconds left on the clock. The Suns have released a statement saying, quote, "We are aware of the situation involving Dillon Brooks and are gathering more information. We have no further comment at this time," end quote. Suns guard Colin has also come forward and said that Brooks has apologized to the rest of the Suns roster. We will be right back after the break.
For all, forever. A promise that began 170 years ago and still guides us today. A legacy of knowledge, faith, and transformation, born of vision, built on community. We are one university with one mission: to create an immensity of future good, as Mother Seton once hoped, to prepare minds, to open doors, to lead with compassion. This is Seton Hall. Driven by purpose, united by faith, reason, and possibility. And now, a campaign to elevate every Setonian, for all, forever. A historic goal to touch every corner of our university and every member of our community. We prepare leaders through scholarship. We enrich education through immersive experience and global reach. We strengthen our cornerstones with academic excellence, research, and faith. Because every gift touches every student, today and for generations to come. For opportunity, for discovery, for community. Join us in shaping the next 170 years. For all, forever. A campaign for a greater Seton Hall.
With opening day just a couple weeks away, a lot of hype has been built up around the National League Cy Young conversation. However, one of its main horses, Hunter Green, will be sidelined until July with bone chips in his right elbow. Green was removed from a spring training start March 4th with elbow stiffness and underwent imaging that day, revealing the loose bodies. Injuries have been a reoccurring theme for the 2017 number 1 overall pick, as he had only had one season where he pitched 150 innings. Last year, Green anchored the Cincinnati Reds to their first playoff appearance since 2013, holding a 2.76 ERA and striking out 132 batters in 107 innings. In a very competitive National League, the Reds will need all the help they can get from Green to lead them back to October. Staying with baseball, the 2026 World Baseball Classic has officially begun. With games running from March 4th till the 17th, baseball's brightest stars are representing their nation for the ultimate bragging rights in the coveted championship trophy. This event is only hosted every 4 years, the last games ending with a thrilling win by Japan in 2023. Japan's 2023 win was highlighted by the LA Dodgers' own Shohei Ohtani, who has now led LA to back-to-back World Series wins. Japan also became the first of the 20 competing nations this year to clinch a quarterfinal spot after beating Australia 4-2 Sunday night. The win was headed by a 2-run homer in the 7th from Masataka Yoshida of the Boston Red Sox. Korea will also be advancing to the quarterfinals after a 7-2 win also against Australia in the Tokyo Dome. The Korean win settled a three-way tie between potential teams advancing. Korea's win was headlined by Gangdam Moon, who picked up a 2-run homer and 4 RBIs. With this advancement, Korea breaks a 17-year-long drought of players passing the second round of the tournament. Team USA has also made strides in the tournament with 2 early wins against Brazil and Great Britain. The U.S. beat Brazil in a 15-5 victory, which was aided by the Brazilian pitchers giving up 17 walks. Despite the dramatic ending score, the game was relatively close at the conclusion of the 8th, at 7-4 before the United States pulled away. The U.S. followed the Brazil game with a 9-1 win over Great Britain. The U.S. pitchers struck 17 players out during the game, setting a World Baseball Classic record. Moving over to college sports, stay with us as we hop into Anchor Point, the official debate show of Hall Zone. Hello, my name is Evangeline Rindone, and welcome to Anchor Point, the show where we debate the hottest topics around the sports world. With us today, we have Cameron Price and Kevin Scarborough. So, as I was addressing before we went to our break, we wanted to talk about college sports, and I think the biggest thing on everyone's mind, welcome to March, is March Madness. And I think the biggest discussion right now with March Madness is what's happening in Miami and with Miami, Ohio, and how they should be allowed, if they should even be allowed in the tournament. You want to?
Yeah, I'll start. I honestly think it's insane that they are in the bubble to not even make it in March Madness, even though they are a 31-0 D1 basketball team. D1, being undefeated in D1 basketball is one of the hardest things you can do. And yes, even though their schedule wasn't that stacked, it was stacked like ACC and all that, but like still, like these are D1 athletes. They're still like 3-star, 4-star. This is very like competitive basketball still, and they still went 31-0. They show that they're coachable, and they show that they are able to make the run in the tournament.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but we're looking for the 68 best teams in the country, and they haven't beat anybody. They have 0 quad 1 wins. They have a single quad 2 win, and then the rest of their 27 or so games are quad 3 and 4. And you know, in the metrics, their net ranking is like 80, 90-ish, and their power basketball index has them in the mid 50s. So this is a mid team, and if you want the best 68 teams playing in this tournament competing for a national championship, they're not locks. They need to win their tournament, their conference tournament, for them to get in.
I do have to ask, they are currently ranked at 53. Do you think they still don't count as the top 68 despite their rank?
They haven't beat anybody. They haven't proved to me, they haven't proved that they could beat a quality opponent because they haven't.
And they can show that if they're in March Madness. I have a feeling many smaller programs don't get as many chances to play ranked because the scheduling favors major conferences, which that doesn't mean that they are incapable of competing. That can show if they are in March Madness, and March Madness is known for their Cinderella runs, and we can see that St. Peter's, the Peacocks.
Yes.
A bunch of mid teams have made a great run in March Madness. That's what it's known for. So if you have Miami, Ohio, an undefeated team, a mid team, as you like to say, if you have them in the tournament, they can show that they can still beat those good teams, and I'm for it.
These are D1 basketball players, and they are very good at basketball. And I do want to say, winning 31 games in a row is something very, very impressive. It's happened so little times, having an undefeated season. So that is really, really, really something they should be proud of. It's just, I just don't see them even doing anything in March Madness because they haven't played someone to, like all these games, I believe they just went to overtime in one of the last couple games with one of these schools in the MAC. How are they going to compete against a Michigan or a Duke or a UConn? It's not going to, I just don't think it's going to be a good game, and we're looking for the best games.
Teams can be coachable, and they've shown that they're coachable. I don't think that a team who is smaller in the conference and playing this well should be booted out of the March Madness tournament. I feel like it's unfair. It's not like college football where like an undefeated team cannot make it just because of a better team or more points are scored. They are the best team, one of the best teams in college basketball, as it shows by their record. Even if they didn't play as many good teams, I feel like we shouldn't let a small school team that's playing this well get booed out of the tournament. I don't think it's fair to them.
I want Miami of Ohio to prove me wrong. I want them to, make the tournament, first of all, because I think it's good. I don't think that they are the best team for the tournament, but I think it'll be, of course, great TV having this story in March Madness in the, big spotlight. But just for me, they need to win the MAC to get an auto bid, and if they don't do that, I don't think that they're one of the best teams, and they shouldn't make this bracket.
I will say Miami, Ohio is only the third team in D1 history to go into the postseason undefeated. That's following 2024 Wichita State and 2015 Kentucky. I'm sorry, 2014 Wichita State, not 2024 Wichita State. Both of which come from these, as you were saying, like lesser groups. They're not Big East, they're not out west. Should the NCAA be looking over these leagues so we're not looking at this conversation again next year? It's not a question of if the undefeated team should be in the tournament.
That's a good question. I don't think they should be looking over because, again, all of these are D1 schools that have, again, 3-star, 4-star, that, again, undefeated teams that should be in the tournament. Just because, again, I've made this statement multiple times, just because they are smaller schools doesn't mean that they should be out, like casted aside, not even getting the chance to shine, getting their chance out in the spotlight, just in case NBA scouts are watching them, just because they're a smaller school and they're not like North Carolina, Duke, UConn. It's not fair to players, it's not fair to the coaches, it's not fair to the school. And going back to them almost losing in overtime, a lot of teams in the MAC know each other very well, but to them going 31-0 against the MAC, that's impressive. That is very impressive.
I think that the NCAA is going to always have teams like Miami of Ohio because just basketball itself has evolved so much where these young kids are so good, and not everyone's going to be or have an offer from, the UNCs, the Dukes, the Michigans, the UConns, all these high-level schools. So they're going to have to go to these mid-major schools, and they're going to get these really, really talented players. So the NCAA is always going to have teams like this. It's always going to be a topic of discussion whether they're the best. And I don't know if there's a solve for it, what the NCAA should do, but I think it'll always be like this.
As much as March makes us all think of basketball, thank you, March Madness, the other big thing that comes up this month is NFL free agency. And pretty much this entire week, we've been looking at the start of it. I just want to know who made out the best, who's winning this season.
I think the New York Giants made out the best. They got John Harbaugh. They got all these Ravens players come in. We got Isaiah Likely. We got one of the punters who I've heard was one of the best punters in the league. They got They upgraded their defensive back. They got Greg Newsome from the Jaguars. They also re-signed Jermaine Illuminor. And they also got a replacement from Bobby Okereke with Tremaine Edmonds, which I think is an amazing sign for the Giants. They won a free agency.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think that the Raiders have won this free agency. Having the first overall pick also helps, bringing in Mendoza, but signing Tyler Lindenbaum, a veteran O-lineman, and having Kwity Paye, an edge, come in for that defense. This is something I believe that the Raiders are building around this Mendoza. I think they're all in, and they are building such a good team. They got Nakobe Dean on the defense and Quay Walker on the defense as well. They're building something special over there, and I think they could be scary. And I think the Giants just don't compare to that.
Now, I have to disagree with you there because we have seen many rookie quarterbacks fall short in their rookie year. We've seen Johnny Manziel do it. And as much as hyped Fernando Mendoza has been, I think it's going to take a little bit of a while for him to adjust to the NFL. See, the Raiders coaching, we haven't seen like too many good things about it. And we don't know how well he's going to fit into the scheme. We don't know how well any of these guys are going to fit into the scheme. Also, like, the Raiders have had these good teams, but they also fell short.
I think Mendoza is one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks we've seen in a little bit. I mean, yeah, he's going to be a rookie and he's going to have these mistakes, but he's so poised when he's out there. He makes great decisions. He's very, very intelligent, and having all these players that they're signing, these veteran players to teach him as the young guy coming in, I think he's going to be excellent.
I do want to pull it back, trying to stay away from Mendoza because he is technically still a hypothetical. While we can assume all day the draft hasn't happened.
Yeah, true.
You were mentioning the Giants, Cam. Yes. Do you feel, when we were discussing earlier, we were talking about the Ravens going to the Giants going to Titans. Do you feel that this free agency has really started a carousel of movement between the NFL? Like, there's no one moving individually anymore.
I think I do agree with that because we have seen many Titans players go to the Giants, and as we all know, during the offseason, Brian DeBall went to the Titans, and we've seen many Ravens players go to the Giants, which because John Harbaugh is in there. And since these Ravens go into Giants, I have a feeling they might be the best in the NFC East going forward.
Yeah, no, that's just not true because the Eagles are still in that division, who also have had a questionable free agency up to this point. They, as I said before, they gave up Nakobe Dean, who was one of my personal favorites. He was so good on defense. Reed Blankenship, I'm going to miss him so much. I love him. He's going to do so great in Houston, but we're really going to miss him on this defense. We re-signed Jordan Davis to a 4-year deal, which is one of our only things we've done in this. But, no, the Giants just aren't the best team in this division, even if you want to add all the players you want.
I have to disagree with you there because as much as the Eagles are, they did lose a lot of pieces. They did grow worse. And look at that offense. Again, you guys got rid of your offensive coordinator, but I still feel like the offense is not going to do that well. They might lose A.J. Brown. Again, it's hypothetical. And you guys, defense, again, Reed Blankenship gone. Like, the defense got worse. The Cowboys, they're decent. They proved to be, like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
The Commanders are the Commanders.
A.J. Brown has just been in trade talk for so long that these don't even come up in my head. I'm not even going to believe anything about A.J. Brown until I see concrete proof, because he's been in trade talks for 2 years, and it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, but Jackson Dart, he is the future of the New York Giants. Him, Cam Scatterville, and bringing in Isaiah Likely, that offense is special. That offense is very special.
We're talking a lot about the NFC East, which I get is where we are, so it's on our mind all the time. But you were talking about the Raiders. What is their division going to look like with this takeaway? If they're winning this free agency, what are we looking at for them?
I don't think winning the division is going to happen this year. I think it's more of a stepping stone for the organization. They're, miles away from a title contention. They were the worst team in the league. And I think that the front office with Tom Brady coming in, he's making right decisions to build the foundation for a team that is going to be something in a couple years, 5 years from now, say.
I don't agree with you there. I do not agree with you.
I don't know. Okay. What do you got to say?
Because, again, the Raiders, we do not know how the scheme would work. We do not know how well the players will be. Also, you might have to take account injuries. You also have to take account coaching, and also how stacked the AFC West are this year. Will they compete against that stacked of a conference?
No, I mean, they're not. I don't think they're going to have, a 10-11 win season this year. I'm simply saying that with these pieces, the Raiders are building something for their future where I think it's going to be very successful with everything that they've added.
If we're talking building futures, the other big league changing itself around right now is the NHL. We just hit the trade deadline this past Friday, which is March 6th, and I want to know, we're changing a lot of things around. The Raiders, you're talking about them like they're the Vancouver Canucks at my place right about now. I want to know who's winning on this side of it. You know, we have the football half. What does hockey look like right now?
I feel like the Anaheim Ducks had one of the best trade deadlines. They got John Carlson from the Washington Capitals for a conditional 2026 first round pick, and also a third round pick for the 2027 NHL draft. They got a veteran defenseman for a young team that he can teach them how he became like a star. They can learn from his playoff experience, his Stanley Cup experience. They could also he also strengthens their defense since he's one of the top defensemen in the league right now. Okay. They also traded Strome for a draft pick, and they also freed up cap space, which I feel like the Anaheim Ducks did this trade deadline for their future, but also to make a run for the playoffs this season, which I feel like that's a win for all trade deadlines.
That's fair. I don't think Anaheim had the best. I'm going to have to go with the Detroit Red Wings. They signed Justin Folk, who's got 11 goals on the season, and he has 101 blocks. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to stand in front of a hockey puck, so he's got to be one pretty good defender. And he's 33. He's a little bit of a vet. He's going to bring some experience into that team. And the Detroit Red Wings also signed David Perron, who's got 10 goals, 15 assists on the season. And these two players, I think, are going to help Detroit make that run that they need in the playoffs, because their goal differential is negative this season. Bringing on these two really good defenders gives them depth, and I think that they're walking away, and I think they can make a run in the playoffs.
Nah, I have to disagree with you there, because even though the two defensemen, yeah, it's right, but John Costa and the Ducks, they are already a playoff team. They are already ready for playoffs. They are going to make a run for playoffs. I don't think Detroit is in the run.
Detroit's third.
Detroit's third?
Detroit's third.
Anaheim's first.
Anaheim is first, though.
Anaheim's goal differential is -10, though.
Ooh.
So they need to step up on that defensive end.
But that's why they got their defense, John Carlson, to strengthen their defensive. They got their biggest weakness. They addressed their biggest weakness, added their leadership, and they also pushed a team closer to playoff contention to make a further push to the Stanley Cup playoffs.
So Anaheim got one defender, and Detroit got two defenders. So I think that Detroit is just.
But that one defender
right?
is one of the best defenders in the league.
I also want to point out, before the Olympic break, Anaheim was approached, their GM, Pat Verdeck, was approached with if he was going to be watching the Olympics. And he basically, as paraphrasing as I will, said, no way, he's way too close to the trade deadline. And do you think he did that well? Do you think this was asked after Lacombe, who was one of his own defenders, got announced to the U.S. team? Did he come out the other side to say he was proud of himself post-Olympics, or is this still up in the air for him?
I feel like it's still up in the air for him. I'm sorry, I did not.
I think let me clarify that a little bit.
Rephrase.
Pat Verdeck, who is the GM for Anaheim, basically said he would be ignoring the Olympics and his multiple players attending the Olympics in favor of trying to come out of the trade deadline proud of his team and proud of his decisions. You are favoring Anaheim here.
Okay.
Do you think he did that, or was he hyping himself up and only making two trades, not doing enough for his team?
I feel like he did enough for his team. He chose to stick with his team because that's what is more important. Yeah, the Olympics, Team USA is more important, but his team, that's his team that he's managing, that he's GMing. I feel like his team should be first. And I think even though, again, only two trades, but it's two trades that made a huge difference with their future, with their cap space. Also, John Carlson can make those young defenders better defenders in the future, which also can make a run in the future also for a Stanley Cup.
We've done a lot of disagreeing, but I'm going to have to agree with you here. I think that a GM staying and focusing on their team and not worrying about a team that is not theirs, they're not managing that, I think that's great that they have a manager who's willing to not worry about that and be really, really focused on the team to get better so they can maybe make a run and not get beat by Detroit at some point.
Well, regardless of whether or not the Red Wings or the Ducks are going to be making their playoff push, this is all the time we have for at Anchor Point. Once again, I'm Evangeline Rindone with Cameron Price and Kevin Scarborough. Stick with us as we have an exclusive SHU TV interview with men's basketball player David Gabriel after the break. I would too.
Was it rolling?
Oh yeah, that was great.
Good evening, SHU TV. My name is Kevin Scarborough, and today we got a very special interview with my man David Gabriel. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, can't complain. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. So to start, you grew up in North Bergen, is that correct?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. So how did you get into basketball, being from North Jersey?
Basketball in North Jersey it's huge. Basketball in New Jersey in general, on the East Coast, it's pretty big. But me, I always loved playing at the park growing up. I used to love playing in the streets all over North Bergen, Hudson County in general. And I have a big brother, his name is Aristotle, and he actually played, he's 7 years older than me. He used to always play at the parks in the streets, and I was that little brother that's always asking Mom, can I go too? Can I go too? So my brother always took me along to the parks, 43rd Street in North Bergen, if you know, you know. And then, yeah, just from there I fell in love with the game. So honestly, yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it.
That's awesome, man. And if you had to pick, one player as you were growing up at that young age, who would you say you modeled your game after?
So I loved LeBron James. I met LeBron when I was a little kid. I was fortunate enough to do that. But I wouldn't model my game after him, but that's somebody I looked up to. I really like to play I loved Klay Thompson growing up a lot because, I was really a catch and shoot type of guy. I love running. I used to move without the ball a lot. I still do. And then just being in the best shape possible and getting my feet set, catching and shooting. It's my favorite thing to do. So
yeah, Klay was elite at that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep. And, being on the Seton Hall team, what does it mean to you to be a captain of, this historic program we have here?
Yeah, it means everything, honestly. Being here at a program that, it means so much to me. That I've been here for 4 years, so obviously, starting off, with a real, smaller role when I first started, and being able to develop as a basketball player and as a human, and develop leadership qualities as well, and prove it to my coach that I can be a captain. It means a lot. I don't take it lightly. I understand a lot more is expected of me as a captain. I have to lead by example and be almost an extension of my coaching staff in a way as a player.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great honor, and I think they got the right man for it. And you mentioned you were here all 4 years. Nowadays, people with the transfer portal. So what kept you here at Seton Hall?
Honestly, Seton Hall is this is home. I know a lot of people say that. They like that line, like, oh, this is home to me. But Seton Hall is really home to me. This is a place that it's literally close to home. It's only about 40 minutes away. It represents New Jersey, and this program just means so much to me because I've developed some of the best relationships of my life at Seton Hall, and some of the best teammates, and some of the best moments of my life have all been at Seton Hall. So this place means everything to me.
That's awesome to hear, man. And being a National Honor Society student, what does that mean to you? And what does that mean? Just explain that to me.
Yeah, so the National Honor Society, that being a National Honor Society student means a lot to me. It's something that I always took seriously. Since I was a kid, I always took academics very seriously. It's something that I know matters. It matters a lot more than people think to athletes because one of the things that actually we say here at Seton Hall, where my coaching staff, Coach Shaw particularly likes to say it a lot, is like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. The way you are off the court. If you're not doing well in the class off the court, how you expect to do well on the court. Things go hand in hand. So I always take my academics very seriously. So since growing up, I always wanted to be, honor student, first honors, and do as many programs as I could do. So it means a lot, and it's not too easy being a student athlete. Balancing basketball and academics could really, take a toll on a lot of people, especially during the season. It's really hard to manage your time. That'd probably be the most important part of it, just being able to, handle, time management. It's big time, especially if you're on the road. If you're on the road, try to find out how can I get some work done, even if I'm on a plane or, on a bus or at a hotel.
That's true. That was going to be a question of mine. Academics, this is a great university, so, they push us as students and they give us, nice amounts of work. And I just, I want a little insight on, a couple tips and techniques that you use to manage your time as a D1 basketball player and such a good student.
Got you, yeah. So one of the main things has been huge. I think I started it with one of my coaches in the past. We have a shared note in my phone, in the notes app, and it has all my assignments. Like, it's just every single thing that I complete, I need to write it down in that note. And then, Coach Kev, shout out Coach Kev, he also takes a look at it and kind of just makes sure, I'm staying on top of my stuff. So he always makes sure that I'm not behind on anything. And if I am, worst case scenario, he'll be like, did you submit that? Did you remember to submit that? So that's something good. Obviously, you don't need to have your own Coach Kev, but you could, I think keeping track of everything you submitted is big time.
Yeah.
And also, when you check things off, it kind of gives you a little bit of a pat on the back and a boost for your upcoming assignments. I'd also say, knocking out little segments of, of just study, little study session for a good 30 minutes, may go a long way. You don't have to just sit there and knock everything out at once. So if I have a good, 20-minute window of free time after practice before I have to head on the bus to go to the airport, I could sit down, wherever I'm at, turn on my computer, and those 20 or 30 minutes are, going to be pretty valuable.
That's awesome because, a lot of people, classes can get hard, and, having tips and tricks, out there, it helps people. And one of 22 seniors have started and end their careers here. Now, I know I mentioned it earlier, but what does that mean to you as a player to start and finish their career here?
It means everything. Loyalty is huge. I'm big on loyalty, and being one out of 22, that's huge because obviously with the transfer portal nowadays, people just don't really stay in the same spot. They're always looking to see where they can do something another place, and always think the grass is greener somewhere else. So I'm glad I stayed down with the same group, same coaching staff, same school. I feel like I know everybody so well, and it means a lot. I love this place. It's part of the reason that I grew such a deep bond with this place and this coaching staff and every single teammate I've had is because I'm loyal to this program. Yeah. Speaking
of the coaching staff, I know Coach Shaw. He has done an amazing job this year, and can you just talk to me about his character? What is he like?
Man, Coach Shaw. He's a really good coach. I'd probably say a good word to describe him is intense. He's always intense. He demands the most out of you. He's not really, gonna let anything slide. If you're slacking, you're gonna hear it. If you're, not going 110%, he's gonna call you out on it and let you know you gotta start going 110%. And I always tell people that's what you should want. You should want to be pushed to the absolute max, near that breaking point as much as you can, because once you, hit that breaking point as much as you, as often as possible, you start noticing your gains and a lot of growth coming, not only as a basketball player, but as a human, as a person. Being able to take coaching is something that I've improved on. Being able to, not only, take coaching, but help my teammates, as a captain, be able to help my teammates take coaching as well. Trying to give them the answers to the test, because Coach Shaw is definitely a very intense coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, he's a real cool person also. He's really cool off the court. But yeah, Coach Shaw, I'm grateful for Coach Shaw.
Yeah, I came across a quote actually from AJ State McCray that said that you were one of the best shooters he's ever seen. I just got a question, man. How have you developed that 3-pointer?
First off, shout out AJ. I really appreciate that because he's a really good shooter, probably one of the best I've seen. So coming from him, it means a lot. And honestly, growing up, I was really huge on getting my reps. Reps, building muscle memory. It's huge. I think people don't really understand that concept. If you're not like a basketball guy, But, you know, muscle memory is huge, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And if you want me to dive deep into it, when I was young, I would really like just try to find any possible slot of time I could find to just go out there and get some shots up. You know, I live next to a park, thankfully, in North Bergen, so I kind of used that to my advantage. And I would literally go to the park, or even LA Fitness. I would literally tell my mom, can I go to LA Fitness before school? Because I needed to get, let's say, I needed to make my 500, or a lot of days in the summer, I needed to make 1,000. And doing it by myself obviously would take way too long. I've done it before. It would take me like 5 hours, 4 hours straight trying to make 100 because I got to go get my own 1,000. Cause I got to go get my own rebound. But I had a good support cast, so there was a lot of times that whenever my brother was in the area, he would help rebound
That's
for me.
awesome.
And you know, just having a support crew, I'd always go to a gym.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Go get reps in.
I mean, it's one thing between, you know, shooting and practice, but I mean, I know you've played in games here, and you played games in high school.
Yeah.
I personally haven't. Can you just speak about the experience of, you know, playing in a game and practice, the difference between those two things? Because people can shoot 90% in a closed gym,
It's
but
true.
you know, the different type of pressure that you have when you're out there on that court. Can you just describe what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, when you're at practice, it's in a gym that you're really used to, with the same group of guys all the time, with the same, you know, tendencies that they always have. So you kind of get to learn them a little better, and you kind of feel less tense when shooting the ball. So I guess in a real game, you know, there's many other factors that you got to try to block out, like a crowd, you know, or not that matters, but, you know, just who's watching, you know, the magnitude of the game.
Yeah.
So obviously those are different factors, and obviously different players who have, or different shapes and sizes, different wingspans, closing out at you at different speeds. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And then also, obviously, you know, at practice you're at practice, so you don't feel tense. But when you're in the game, you're like, oh, this matters. You know?
Yeah,
So that's probably the difference.
Okay.
But I mean, obviously, I think some guys, you know, can speak better than I can about that subject. But you get used to it over time and become, you know, better at being a shooter in games.
That would make sense. You know, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've probably had a lot of memories here, and what's your favorite, man? If you had to, you know, pick out one memory you've had while being on this team for 4 years, what do you got?
It's like impossible to pinpoint onto one, so I'm gonna give you two.
All right, let's do it.
So one, I gotta say, winning the NIT championship, because, you know, it wasn't not only just about like the championship game itself, the group of people I did it with, they're really, you know, my brothers. Those were long life relationships I built. You know, I actually was just working out with Alamir Dawes like an hour ago. So just to show like I still am really connected to that group. And then besides winning the NIT championship, I'd probably say being in Maui this year would probably be one of my favorites, because
that seems like a blast.
It was awesome. I've never been to Hawaii, and you know, I was really able to bond so well with my teammates, and we had a lot of fun, and we won games, so we enjoyed each other's company, and it was honestly one of the best experiences of my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
David, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Good luck in the Big East tournament, and that's going to be all from us at SHU TV. Have a good night.